The fleet approaches the vast alien armada, move through the dark void of space like a swarm of metal locusts. Admiral Vex stood on the bridge of the flagship Dark Thunder, watching the blue-green planet grow larger on the main screen. Earth looked so small and peaceful from this distance. "Fleet status report," Vex commanded, his forearms crossed behind his back. "All 2,000 ships ready for attack, Admiral," replied Captain Tor from his station. "The humans have no idea we're coming." The Kalan Empire had been watching Earth for months. These strange two-armed creatures had recently discovered faster than light travel and started exploring nearby star systems. The Kalan Council decided this new species must be stopped before they became a threat. "Begin the attack formation," Vex ordered. "Target their major cities first. Make this quick and clean." The massive fleet began to spread out across space, each ship taking position for the assault. Vex had conquered 12 worlds before this one. The humans would fall just like all the others. But something was wrong. "Lieutenant." Rex at the sensor station suddenly went very still. His purple skin turned pale as he stared at his readings. "Admiral ... there's something on long-range sensors." "What? Kind of something?" Vex asked, moving closer to the sensor station. "A ship, sir. A very large ship. It's coming toward us." Vex looked at the display. A single dot appeared on the edge of their scanner range. Just one ship against their entire fleet. He almost laughed. "One human ship? Are they trying to surrender?" "No, sir," Rex said, his voice shaking. "This isn't like their other ships. It's huge. The sensors show it's at least 50 kilometers long." The bridge fell silent. Even their largest ships were only 10 kilometers from end to end, but humans were a young species. How could they build something so massive? "Show me," Vex demanded. Main screen changed to display the sensor reading. The single contact was moving steadily toward them, not trying to hide or run away. It was coming straight at their fleet. "Admiral," Captain Tor said quietly, "should we change our attack plan?" Vex thought for a moment. One ship, even a large one, couldn't stand against 2,000 vessels. "No, we stick to the plan. When that ship gets closer, we'll destroy it first. Then we take the planet." But as the human vessel approached, more readings came in. Rex's hands shook as he worked his controls. "Admiral ... the power readings from that ship ... What about them?" "They're off the charts, sir. Our sensors can't even measure them properly. And there's something else." Rex paused, checking his readings again. "It's not slowing down. It's coming right at us at full speed." On the main screen, they could now see the human ship with their optical sensors. It was dark metal, shaped like a giant sword cutting through space. Strange blue lights pulsed along its hull. "Open a channel to their ship," Vex ordered. "Let's see what these humans want to say before they die." "Channel open, sir." A human face appeared on the screen. The creature looked calm, almost bored. It had short brown hair and dark eyes that seemed to look right through Vex. "This is Captain Stone of the Earth Defense Ship Hammer of Dawn," the human said in a flat voice. "You have 10 minutes to turn your fleet around and leave this system. This is your only warning." The Kalan bridge crew burst into laughter. One human ship ordering their entire fleet to retreat. It was the most ridiculous thing they had ever heard. Vex stepped forward. "Human captain, you are outnumbered 2,000 to 1. Surrender now, and we might let some of your people live." Captain Stone's expression didn't change. "You misunderstand the situation. You're not outnumbered. You're outgunned. 9 minutes and 30 seconds remaining." The channel closed. Vex stared at the blank screen. The human's confidence was disturbing. No one could be that calm when facing certain death. "Admiral," Rex called out, "I'm getting more detailed scans of their ship now. Sir, you need to see this." Vex walked over to the sensor station. What he saw made his blood run cold. The human ship wasn't just large. It was covered in weapons. Thousands of them. Weapon systems the Kalan computers couldn't even identify. And the power readings ... The entire ship seemed to be one massive reactor. How is this possible? Vex whispered. 8 minutes remaining, came Captain Stone's voice over the comm system. For the first time in his military career, Admiral Vex felt afraid. The revelation: run a full spectrum analysis on that ship. Admiral Vex commanded, trying to keep his voice steady. I want to know everything about it. The bridge crew worked frantically at their stations. Rex's purple fingers danced across his controls as he directed every sensor array toward the approaching human vessel. Admiral, the analysis is complete, Rex announced, his voice barely above a whisper. Sir ... this changes everything. Show me the data. The main screen filled with technical readouts and energy signatures. What Vex saw made him step backward in shock. The human ship wasn't just armed with conventional weapons. It carried devices that bent the laws of physics. Those energy signatures, Captain Tor said, pointing at the display. They're not possible. No civilization has ever built weapons like these. 6 minutes remaining. Captain Stone's voice echoed through the bridge again. Vex studied the readings more carefully. The human ship's main cannon appeared to be some kind of gravitational weapon. The secondary weapons looked like they could tear holes in space itself. And the defensive systems, they seemed to create barriers made of compressed energy. How old did our intelligence say human civilization was? Vex asked. They only achieved spaceflight 200 years ago, replied Lieutenant Zek from the Astiat communications station. They're barely out of their home system. Then how do they have technology that's centuries ahead of ours? No one had an answer. Admiral, Rex called out urgently, I'm detecting something else. There are more human ships. More ships? Where? They're everywhere, sir. Hidden throughout this system. My sensors are picking up at least 50 vessels, all running. In stealth mode, Vex felt the walls closing in around him. Show me their positions. The tactical display lit up with red dots scattered across the solar system. Human ships were positioned near every planet, every asteroid field, every possible hiding spot. The Kalan fleet had walked straight into a trap. How long have they been there? Vex demanded. Based on the sensor echoes, they've been in position. For weeks, sir. They knew we were coming. 4 minutes remaining, came the human captain's voice. Vex's mind raced. Everything about this situation was wrong. Humans were supposed to be a primitive species, barely capable of interstellar travel. The Kalan Empire's intelligence reports had described them as aggressive but technologically backward. Sir, Captain Tor said quietly, perhaps we should consider the humans' offer to withdraw. Absolutely not, Vex snapped. We have our orders. The Kalan Empire does not retreat from inferior species. But even as he said the words, Vex wondered if humans were truly inferior. Their technology was clearly more advanced than anything the Kalan possessed. And their tactical positioning showed a level of strategic thinking that impressed even him. Admiral, incoming transmission from the human ship, announced Lieutenant Zek. Put it through. Captain Stone's face appeared on the screen again. Behind him, Vex could see other humans working at their stations with calm efficiency. There was no panic, no fear. They looked like they were going about routine business. Admiral Vex of the Kalan Empire, Stone said. I know your name and your history. You've conquered 12 worlds in the past 20 years. You believe that makes you a great military leader. Vex was startled. How did this human know so much? About him? You're wondering how we know about you, Stone continued. The truth is, we've been watching your empire for a very long time. We know about every ship in your fleet, every weapon system, every tactical manual you've ever read. That's impossible, Vex said. Humans have barely left their home world. Stone smiled, but it wasn't a friendly expression. Admiral, you've made a fundamental error. You assumed that because we're new to space travel, we must be primitive. But you never asked yourselves why a species would wait so long to explore the stars. 2 minutes remaining. We didn't wait because we couldn't build the ships, Stone explained. We waited because we were building something else. Something much more important. What? Vex asked, though he wasn't sure he wanted to know the answer. We were building defenses. For 200 years, every human scientist, every engineer, every military strategist has been working on one project. We knew that someday, someone like you would come to our world. We decided to be ready. The main screen shifted to show the human battleship in all its terrible glory. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time, a perfect fusion of art and destruction. This ship represents everything humanity has learned about war, Stone said. Every lesson, every innovation, every nightmare we could imagine. We built it, hoping we would never need to use it. 1 minute remaining. Vex looked around his bridge at his terrified crew. For the first time, he began to understand the true scope of the trap they had fallen into. Asterisk the demonstration. Times. Captain Stone announced. Admiral Vex gripped the arms of his command chair. Around him, his bridge crew held their breath. 2,000 Kalan ships faced a single human vessel. Yet somehow Vex felt like prey cornered by a predator. All ships, prepare to fire on my command, Vex ordered into his comm system. Admiral, Stone's voice cut through the bridge speakers. I wouldn't do that if I were you. Let me show you something first. On the main screen, they watched the human. Battleship Hammer of Dawn slowly turned toward a nearby asteroid. The massive rock was about 3 kilometers wide, floating peacefully in space. That asteroid is roughly the same size as one of your heavy cruisers, Stone explained calmly. Watch carefully. A small port opened on the side of the human ship. It looked insignificant compared to the vessel's enormous size. A brief flash of blue light shot out, no bigger than a laser pointer. The asteroid simply vanished, not destroyed, not broken apart. It ceased to exist as if it had never been there at all. The Kalan bridge fell completely silent. Rex stared at his sensor readings, checking them again and again. Sir, Rex whispered, the asteroid is completely gone. No debris, no energy signature, nothing. It's like it was erased from reality. That was our smallest weapon, Stone said conversationally. We call it a quantum eraser. It removes matter from existence at the subatomic level. Very clean, very thorough. Vex felt his legs grow weak. He had seen many weapons in his long military career, but nothing like this. The Kalan Empire's most powerful guns could destroy a ship, maybe crack a small moon, but to make something simply stop existing? Now, let me show you our main cannon, Stone continued. The human battleship turned toward a different target. This time it pointed at a small moon orbiting a gas giant in the distance. The moon was 50 times larger than the asteroid, with its own atmosphere and weather systems. This will take a bit more power, Stone said, along the length of the human ship. The blue lights began to pulse faster and brighter. Energy built up in the vessel's forward section, creating distortions in space itself. Even from this distance, the Kalan sensors detected massive gravitational waves. Admiral, Captain Tor said urgently, the energy readings from their weapon, they're equivalent to a star-going supernova. The human ship fired. What happened next? Defied everything Vex knew about physics. A beam of twisted spacetime shot across the solar system at impossible speed. When it hit the distant moon, the satellite didn't explode or shatter. It folded in on itself, and disappeared into a point of infinite density. We created a temporary black hole, Stone explained, as if discussing the weather. The moon is now compressed into a space smaller than an atom. The effect will wear off in a few hours, but by then, he didn't need to finish the sentence. Impossible, Vex breathed. No civilization has that kind of technology. You keep saying that word. Impossible, Stone replied. Admiral, when your species first developed spaceflight, what was the first thing you did? We explored nearby systems, established colonies. Exactly. You spread out as fast as you could, claiming territory and resources. It's the natural way, but humans are not natural. The screen showed Captain Stone standing up from his chair, walking closer to the camera. When we developed space flight, we didn't explore, we didn't colonize. We didn't even leave our solar system for over a century. Do you know why? Vex shook his head, unable to speak. Because we spent that time studying every signal that reached Earth from space. We listened to your communications, learned your languages, watched your wars. We studied thousands of alien civilizations from a distance. That's how you knew we were coming, Vex realized. We've been tracking your fleet since it left Kalan space 6 months ago. We knew your battle plans before you did. We know about the other invasion fleets heading toward human colonies. We know everything. Stone paused, letting this information sink in. But more importantly, we learned from all of you. Every weapon system, every tactical doctrine, every weakness we observed. We combined the best ideas from 1,000 different species and improved on them. The result, Stone gestured toward his ship, is a level of technology that no single species could develop on their own. We are the first civilization in the galaxy to benefit from everyone else's knowledge. Vex slumped in his chair. The scope of what he was hearing was overwhelming. Humans hadn't just advanced quickly, they had advanced intelligently. So what happens now? Vex asked quietly. Stone smiled again, and this time it was even less reassuring than before. Now, Admiral, you have a choice to make. The choice, Admiral. Vex stared at Captain Stone's image on the screen. Around him, his bridge crew waited in terrified silence. 2,000 ships under his command, and he had never felt more powerless. What kind of choice? Vex asked, his voice hoarse. A simple one, Stone replied. You can order your fleet to withdraw from human space and return to your empire. Or you can attack us and discover just how many other weapons we've developed. And if we withdraw, then you go home and tell your leaders what you've seen here. Today, you tell them that humanity is not a threat to the Kalan Empire, but we are also not defenseless prey. Vex considered this. It sounded reasonable, but he knew his people. The Kalan Council would never accept a retreat without understanding. Why? They won't believe me, Vex said. My leaders will think I'm lying or that I've gone mad. They'll send another fleet, a bigger one. No, they won't, Stone said confidently. How can you be so sure? Because you're going to show them something that will convince them. Rex, your sensor officer there, he's been recording everything. Hasn't he? Vex looked at Rex, who nodded nervously. Standard procedure required all encounters with unknown species to be recorded for analysis. Good, Stone continued, but recordings can be faked. Your leaders will want more proof, so I'm going to give it to you. The human captain moved to another station on his bridge. We've been monitoring your communications with your home world. We know that Admiral Crix is assembling a second invasion fleet of 5,000 ships. Vex's eyes went wide. That information was classified at the highest levels. How could humans possibly know about it? In approximately 4 hours, Admiral Crix will receive a transmission from us. We're going to show him exactly what happened to your asteroid and that moon. We're also going to provide detailed scans of his fleet, including the names of his officers, the locations of his ships, and the contents of his personal communications. That's impossible, Vex protested. His fleet is 300 light-years away. Distance is not a barrier when you understand how space and time really work, Stone said. But here's the interesting part. We're not just going to contact Admiral Crix. We're going to contact every Kalan military leader, every government official, every scientist and engineer in your empire. Simultaneously, Vex felt the blood drain from his face. The technological implications of what Stone was describing were staggering. To communicate across such vast distances instantaneously would require mastery of physics that the Kalan Empire couldn't even theorize about. Why are you telling me this? Vex asked. Because I want you to understand something crucial, Stone said, his expression becoming more serious. We could destroy your entire empire right now. Every Kalan world, every ship, every space station. We have that capability. He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. But we won't. Do you know why? Vex shook his head. Because destruction is easy. Any species can build weapons that kill. But building a civilization that chooses not to use those weapons, that's much harder. Stone walked back to his command chair and sat down. Humans have seen what happens when species become too aggressive. We've watched civilizations destroy themselves with their own weapons. We've observed entire species wiped out by others who were stronger. We decided long ago that we didn't want to be either victim or destroyer. And what do you want? Vex asked. We want to be left alone to develop in peace. But if someone threatens us, we want them to understand exactly what they're facing before they make a mistake they can't undo. Captain Tor leaned over to Vex and whispered, Admiral, perhaps we should consider their offer. Vex nodded slowly. Everything he had seen today challenged his understanding of warfare, technology, and power. The humans had demonstrated capabilities that seemed like magic. More importantly, they had shown restraint when they could have simply destroyed the entire Kalan fleet. Captain Stone, Vex said formally, I accept your terms. My fleet will withdraw from human space immediately. A wise decision, Admiral. But before you go, I have something else to show you. The main screen changed to display a star map of the local galaxy. Dozens of star systems were highlighted in blue. These are human colonies, Stone explained. As you can see, we've been exploring and settling worlds for the past 50 years. We just did it very quietly. Vex counted the highlighted systems. There were at least 100 of them. Admiral, the human you're looking at isn't special. Every one of our colonies has ships like this one. Every human world is protected by weapons like you've seen today. Stone stood up again, and his final words carried the weight of absolute certainty. The war you came here to start ended before. It began, not because you chose to stop it, but because we chose not to let it start. Asterisk the return home 3 months later. Admiral Vex stood in the Grand Council chamber of the Kalan Empire's capital world. Before him sat the 12 members of the High Council, their faces showing a mixture of disbelief and anger. You're telling us, said Council Leader Max slowly, that you retreated from a single human ship. Yes, Council Leader. And that this ship destroyed an asteroid and a moon with weapons we cannot understand. The recordings show everything. Clearly, Vex replied, gesturing to the holographic display that had been playing for the past hour. Recordings can be faked, snorted Council Member Jex. Perhaps the humans used some kind of trick, special effects to make you believe. Then explain this, Vex interrupted, activating another display. The chamber filled with images of Admiral Crix's fleet, frozen in space. Every ship was intact but completely powerless. Their engines were dead, their weapons offline, their communication systems broadcasting only a single message in perfect Kalan language. This is a demonstration. Your ships are unharmed, but helpless. This effect will end in 1 hour. The humans did this to 5,000 ships simultaneously, Vex continued, from 300 light years away. Without firing a shot, the council chamber fell silent. Every military leader in the Empire had received the same demonstration on the same day. Thousands of Kalan ships across dozens of star systems, all rendered helpless at exactly the same moment. But how? Asked Council Member Dex, the Empire's chief scientist. The physics involved would require technology beyond our current understanding, Vex finished, which is exactly what the humans have. Council Leader Mac leaned forward in her chair. What do they want from us? Nothing, Vex said. They made that very clear. They simply want to be left alone. Surely they have demands. Territory, resources, trade agreements? No demands at all. In fact, they offered to share some of their non-military technology with us. Medical advances, energy systems, food production methods. They called it goodwill gestures between neighbors. Council Member Tex, the Empire's military strategist, studied the tactical displays. These defensive positions around Earth ... are perfect. No approach vector is unguarded. No blind spots exist. It's as if they've studied every battle doctrine in the galaxy. They have, Vex confirmed. Captain Stone told me they spent decades analyzing communication intercepts from thousands of civilizations. They learned from everyone's mistakes and successes. Impossible for such a young species. We keep saying that, but the evidence proves otherwise. Vex activated the final recording. This is what convinced me completely. The display showed the human Captain Stone, but this time he was speaking directly to the camera with a message specifically for the Kalan Council. Leaders of the Kalan Empire, Stone's image said, I know you're watching this recording and debating whether Admiral Vex is telling the truth. Let me make something clear. We have no interest in destroying your empire or conquering your worlds. Stone paused, and his expression became more intense. But we've been monitoring your communications for years. We know about your expansion plans, your resource needs, your population pressures. We understand why you believed conquest was necessary for survival. The recording shifted to show star charts and statistical data. Here's what you don't know. The galaxy contains thousands of uninhabited worlds suitable for your species. Worlds with the resources you need, the climate you prefer, the space your people require. You've been fighting for territory when abundant empty land exists everywhere. We're prepared to share the locations of these worlds with you freely. No payment required, no treaties necessary. Simply an exchange of information between civilizations that choose to coexist peacefully. Stone's image looked directly into the camera. The choice is yours. You can continue your expansion through conquest, in which case you'll eventually encounter other species like us who won't tolerate aggression. Or you can choose a different path. The recording ended. Council Leader Mac sat back in her chair, processing everything she had seen and heard. Around the chamber, the other council members exchanged glances. Admiral Vex, she said finally, in your professional opinion, could we defeat the humans in a conventional war? No, Council Leader, not even with our entire fleet. And their offer of assistance, you believe it's genuine? They've already begun transmitting the star charts they promised. Our scientists are analyzing habitable worlds that we never knew existed. Mac nodded slowly. And I suppose we have our answer. She stood and addressed the full council. The Kalan Empire officially recognizes human territorial claims and accepts their offer of peaceful coexistence. As the council session ended, Vex reflected on the strangest military campaign of his career. He had led 2,000 ships to conquer a primitive world and instead discovered that the primitives had become the most advanced species in the galaxy. The war that was supposed to establish Kalan dominance had ended before the first shot was fired, not through surrender, but through wisdom. Sometimes, Vex realized, the greatest victory was knowing when not to fight at all. The End Asterisk.